It's Just Business with Steve Thomas and your host, Chris Larry. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of It's Just Business. It is me, Steve Thomas. It is not Chris Larry because he had something else to do, something better and more fun to do. But we have our normal super sub, Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm sitting in the house all by my lonesome because my wife went to our vacation place. So, uh,
Clearly, she's excited about spending time with you.
yeah, right. Well, she's gonna be up there 3 weeks. Joke's on her. My mom's up there, so she's gonna have to deal with that,
Have
and I
fun
don't.
with your mother-in-law. To be,
Yeah.
what was going through my head right as I was introing the show is, I had to do this in Kermit the Frog's voice. Honest to God, that is what. Hey-o! Welcome,
Yeah.
It's Just Business. And I thought, that kind of destroys the credibility of the show a little bit. So perhaps I ought to not do that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Let's talk about hardcore business topics as a puppet frog.
Right. The thing is, Jim Henson would actually appreciate something like that because, that's how his mind worked anyway.
Look, I've got such a perfect Kermit the Frog voice. It's a shame to not. It's a shame to waste it. To be honest, they need to
Well,
hire me.
maybe they always are looking for new people to do the voiceover work, I bet.
You know what I saw yesterday? Jamie Foxx has got the best Donald Trump impersonation I've ever heard.
Really?
Jamie Foxx. Yeah, that was my one day a week on Twitter was yesterday because I was actually seeing if you were posting stuff on the game, the Redskins game and all that.
Right.
And the first thing to open was a Jamie Foxx clip from some random podcast. I don't know who they were. But anyway, he had Donald Trump down to a T. It was incredible.
Am I wrong? I'm trying to think back. Jamie Foxx did start out in comedy, right? Like before he became a serious actor.
He's done a lot of things. I think he's very, very versatile.
Yeah.
Because remember, he was also Ray Charles and did all the music in that movie, and I think he did a song with Kanye West maybe.
Right.
And that impresses me less because in today's modern production techniques, you can make anybody sing, with auto-tune and everything else. But
okay, I looked it up. He has done some stand-up. So, anyone who's from that world learns to do some impressions pretty well.
Holy cow. It was just, if anybody wants to laugh, find that, just Google or search for Jamie Foxx as Trump. And it was the best thing ever. I mean, it was just a non-political. It wasn't anything like pro or against him or anything. It was just Trump down to a T.
I mean, look, presidential impressions are always, a staple of any voice impression.
The only one I thought was really dark and nasty was Alec Baldwin as Trump. That was just, it wasn't funny. It was just like Alec Baldwin attacking the guy. The Saturday Night Live bit. I mean, all the rest of those have all been funny, I think, but that one wasn't.
So I've always thought that Alec Baldwin's 30 Rock character, if you ever watched 30 Rock.
I have not.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of Trump in that character to begin with. So it wasn't surprising to me that that's what they tagged him to do. But that's a whole different topic.
It is. Yeah, and Alec Baldwin, one insane person doing another slightly insane person is a small bit of irony in there. But another insane person, let's get into the show. Yeah. And another insane person is Junior Galette.
Maybe of these three, I would even say the most insane person, which says a lot.
I would say there's no question that Junior Galette is the most insane person between Donald Trump, Alec Baldwin, and let's throw Jamie Foxx in there. And then Junior Galette. Junior Galette is definitely the leading contender. So what has happened?
We'll throw anybody we've mentioned on the show in there. Yeah.
Anybody short of like Ted Kaczynski, I think Junior has the crown.
Yeah.
So Washington Redskins fans and Washington whatever's fans will remember that Junior Galette was a defensive end in Washington for a couple years, and
he actually had one season. He was hurt too. He was here for 3, but hurt for 2.
Yeah. And he does have talent, but it just didn't work out. And people will recall that he got in trouble for allegedly swinging a belt at a woman on a beach and got charged with assault and battery I don't know what state that was in, but I guess
that
Florida.
was in Louisiana, I believe.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because he was with the Saints at that time.
I think he got convicted. I don't remember.
No, he got. I do remember. I believe he was found not guilty because it was self-defense in the end. He was attacked by a group of people. It wasn't just this one person.
Yeah, there's a video. If you want to hunt that down, there's a video on that too. But so Junior has spent the last couple years being an insane person, and
more insane on Twitter every year.
Now, in fair disclosure here, I have a bit of a bitter pill about Junior because we tried to get him on the Hog side one time, and we've asked a lot of people, but I haven't done it much, recently for a variety of reasons. But we've asked a lot of people. Some it works out, some don't. Most of them have the courtesy to just say, "Hey, no." Nobody but Junior Galette has agreed to come on and then stiffed us. That is unique to Junior. Alex, you remember this? We were sitting there waiting.
I remember one other person who did.
Well, that cheerleader wrote us and said, "I can't do this." If that's what you're talking about.
No. I was going to say Deshaun Jackson's mom. Because remember?
Oh yeah, she stiffed us. Yeah, that was before we even really had a show, though. I mean,
that was very early on.
She did the right thing in stiffing us. But Junior, we were set, ready, waiting for this interview, and he just totally bailed. So I've always been irritated with that. But this latest bit of insanity. Junior has filed a lawsuit in federal court in the Southern District of Florida, and this is a legitimate complaint that's filed and must be dealt with. First of all, he listed his address. Junior listed his home address in the plaintiff line of the complaint. So yeah, take that for what you will. Not smart, Junior. But so the defendants here. And he's done this, and the whole thing is obviously nuts. But what he's trying to do here is make the National Football League, the Seattle Seahawks, the Los Angeles Rams, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Cleveland Browns, Kansas City Chiefs, Carolina Panthers, and Washington Football Team. Yes, that's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
And then J.T. Treader, president, who I think he is the president or CEO, I'm not sure the title of the players union. That's who that is.
Is it no longer Smith?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. Anyway, and because it says Upshaw Place, and so I think he's trying
that would make sense then,
to be the Players Association. So, and just as a sign of how nuts this is, and by the way, I only had 20 minutes to look through this, so I haven't read every word. But so line number 1 under complaint says, comes now, Junior Galette, one of the people as seen in all 50 plus states Bill and Declaration of Rights, parentheses, 1865 Florida Constitution, Article 1, Declaration of Rights, Section 7 and 20, close parentheses, at all times with exclusive, indefeasible, indubitable, and inalienable rights to reform, alter, or abolish government in such a manner as shall be judged most conducive to the public weal sui juris, am giving this court of record this complaint against defendants, and each of them followed as listed below. That is line number 1, and that ought to tell you everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to break it down line by line. Obviously, we'll be here for 3 weeks because you said it's 150 pages long.
45 pages of it is written stuff, and the other 105 pages are just nonsense, newspaper articles and tweets and stuff. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So anytime someone uses indubitable, I just feel like you think it's a big word and you're very smart, but I know it's like there is a legal term about it, but
indubitable.
Yeah.
I want to say it's been in a sitcom, and I can't remember which one it is.
Well, I mean, it's very 1920s is what it is. Like the Flintstones is the sitcom you probably would have remembered it from.
I guess, man. Yeah. Who knows? And and again, he's quoting Latin here, sui juris, and
which I tried looking up, and because I don't have it in front of me, I couldn't write it in right. When I looked it up in Google Translate, it said the right wheel, which can't be what it is.
No, that's not it. Yeah. See, I've read a lot of these nutso lawsuits from pro se defendants and stuff, and most of them throw in Latin because they think it makes them sound smarter. But they don't understand the circumstances, anything. But yeah, certainly Junior Galette is no attorney. So, and he's loosely doing this. He's
Mhm.
basically saying there's a conspiracy amongst his team in the NFL to violate his rights, his civil rights. He's alleged racism in here. He's
Right.
alleged discrimination under the collective bargaining agreement, sort of discrimination under the United States Constitution. He's not really making real causes of action that are colorable under real federal law here.
Right. It's a lot. There's a lot of gibberish.
Oh, it's 95% gibberish. And so I don't, and he's alleging common law, but citing the Constitution, which isn't really common law. But regardless, deprivation of right under color of law, conspiracy against rights. Says no free man shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property, but by lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land, and that is by the common law, which isn't really true. So it's all but the reason why those teams are listed, those teams, is he's saying that those are the teams that have done this to him. And so obviously what he's mad about is that nobody re-signed him after his injuries. Yep. Yeah, after his criminal event, after he had 2 years? Was it 2 years of injuries?
Yeah, he was on IR in Washington for 2 seasons. And just to give you the exact years, 2014 he was kicked out of New Orleans, if you remember. 2015 he came here, I don't remember what the injury was. Let me see if I can find that in Wikipedia. But ACL, left Achilles. Okay. So he was out 2015 and 2016. Came back 2017, played 16 games, got 3 sacks, and 20 tackles total.
I do remember Robbie Duncan on the show saying, on the Hogsty, saying that he was really impressed with him, that first year he was here. So he's alleged.
He's an athletic freak.
There's no doubt about that, or was.
Yeah.
So he's alleging maladministration, which I don't know what he means by that, collusion, fallacy, breach of trust, bad faith, deprivation of rights, conspiracy, grievance, and trespass. Those are sort of his allegations here, and we could just read all of this, but that'd take 3 weeks, as Alex suggested. But he's cited a whole bunch of different players. He really has just a real bone to pick with Trent Murphy.
Yeah.
Recall the former Washington, and where'd he go? Buffalo, I think. After that,
yeah, and well, so they were here in Washington those 3 years together.
And Trent
Murphy was drafted in 2014.
And Trent Murphy got a contract from Washington. Extension.
Was it an extension here in Washington? Is that right?
I believe so. And what?
No. Murphy played his rookie year and then got the deal in Buffalo for 2 years.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. So what Galette is alleged, it was a 3-year, $22.5 million deal worth up to $50 million with a $5.2 million signing bonus. Who knows if that's true or not? But so the gist of it is that he's saying he was much better than Trent Murphy. Trent has a contract. I didn't get it. He's alleging racism in there.
Those numbers are basically the same that I see on Trent's Wikipedia page. So let's assume that's fairly accurate.
Okay, all right.
And I'm assuming Junior Galette did all his research on Wikipedia too. So
probably, he's listed a bunch of Junior's stats in here, all of that. He's got 100 pages of this thing. 105 are just like photocopies, clearly photocopies, like newspaper articles. He's printed out like online, like tweets and a bunch of things like that, stat pages, analysis, all talking about what a great player he was. And the gist of it obviously is I'm much better and the NFL has conspired against me. Right. He doesn't mention in here that he's an insane person, of course.
No. That he got kicked out of Temple because allegedly his cousin stole a laptop, not him. That he got kicked out of New Orleans for the fight. That here's the thing. I don't think he was a problem here in Washington. At least there was no stories of him being like a malcontent.
No, there weren't. But I mean, they didn't bring him back for a reason.
No. Well, they didn't bring him back because they were playing Moneyball at the linebacker position anyway.
And I do think probably that he was a better player than Trent Murphy. You know,
at his peak, yes, but
Trent wasn't an insane person. Is the thing.
Trent might have been, but we don't know.
He didn't come across as an insane person.
No, he didn't. But okay, so Trent Murphy's last season, and he got injured in 2017, so he missed that whole year. But in 2016, Trent Murphy had 9 sacks. So his last season, he had 9, and Junior's last season, he had 3. If you're talking about edge rushers, that's the number you're always looking at, right? It's sacks. Trent Murphy, Buffalo took a shot on him, and, they lost. It wasn't a good signing for them, but still.
So, So, I mean, nobody doubts that when Junior played, he was a effective player. We could argue the debate we could debate whether he or Trent Murphy was better, and who knows.
Sure.
So in this lawsuit, just to continue to summarize here, it's got page after page after page of Junior bragging about himself. It goes on and on and on and on and on,
right?
About all these kind of things, and he's got a whole bunch of quotes from a bunch of different beat writers and others, and he's got he mentions a bunch of other players: Cleveland Farrell, Noah Spencer, Kelvin Beachum. The list goes on and on, about that. Just to continue to, Teron Armstead, a bunch of quotes from coaches. Paul Connor, who's a, Redskins beat writer, like analyst. I think he's with SB. He says he was with SB Nation. He's got cited Bleacher Report. So that's kind of the. And again, it's just rambling and nonsense. And a lot of times when people write these things, like pro se plaintiffs, they tend to cite the Constitution and all these things because, again, they think it makes them look smarter. And what they tend to never do is actually claim actual real causes of action. And that's what exactly what Junior's done here.
Well, so here's a couple of things about this whole case, Steve, and I have a couple questions for you as a legal expert.
I'm the Hogstie's legal analyst, Alex.
Yes, exactly. Junior Galette, I mean, this is not his first lawsuit against the NFL.
I couldn't find any other lawsuit but this one in the federal court records. If he's filed one, it's been in state court.
Okay, so maybe some of this is background stuff that he's been doing for the last few years. Because here's the thing that I was wondering about. I still follow him on Twitter just because, one, it's
fun.
It's crazy fun time in his head, and I don't comment. He's into some weird shit. Like, I don't know if he's into the QAnon side of things, but he's definitely into the whole sovereign citizen thing. Like, he reposts a lot of that, which is weird.
Why don't you tell people what that is?
It's basically, there's a couple different variations of it. The type he is into, I believe, is this idea that they believe the Moors came to the U.S. before anybody else, and thus the U.S. is a Moorish country by their rules, and they don't have to pay taxes.
Always comes down to that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, all the sovereign citizen stuff does. Doesn't matter if you're white, black, which version of it you're playing. So it's always, I don't want to pay taxes.
We have some of this down here in Texas because there's a group of people down here.
Oh, you have lots of it down there.
Well, and what most of them tend to believe is that Texas is not a state, but it's still a free and independent nation, and so therefore they don't owe taxes. Again, it always comes down to taxes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's basically people not wanting to pay taxes, or it comes down to wanting to not pay taxes and own a lot of guns. Those are their two common themes amongst all sovereign citizen groups.
I do own a lot of guns, but I am not in this sovereign citizen group.
No. Well, Steve, you're in a house right now and you have electricity. You're not living in the woods in a tent.
hunting deer and rabbits.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing you see a lot of with. So But anyway, one thing he's been posting for about 2 years now. And he's been doing depositions with guys like Matt Rule, with other.
He's not doing a deposition.
Well,
Matt Rule.
No, they've been there were interviews, legal interviews with lawyers.
I mean, a deposition is testimony, pretrial testimony on the record, with attorneys present and with a court reporter present.
Well,
that's done in a court. That's done in conjunction with a lawsuit that is filed and been properly served.
Okay, so there are attorneys present in these videos he's been reposting.
So there have been real depositions.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There are attorneys. I definitely remember one with Matt Rule, because there's a whole thing, that was one of his college coaches, and yada yada.
I thought you were saying this is like Junior, like accosting someone on the street or something.
No. It's
real depositions.
It's been all over Zoom because of the pandemic. This is, how they've been doing them. But he's videotaping them and then reposting them on his Twitter page, which, even if you're just doing background for what this lawsuit is now, I assume that's a big no-no.
No, not necessarily. First of all, again, I looked in the federal court system, but I found out about this 30 minutes, full disclosure, 30 minutes before the show. And I did a real quick search for Junior Galette in the federal court system, which I have access to. And the Hogstye does, even though Alex doesn't even really know it. But
no, I know it. We've talked about you use the Hogstye for this.
Well, yeah, because we have a media account, because I didn't want to mix and match with like a professional account for this Hogstye stuff. But anyway, so the only lawsuit that came up under the name Galette was this one. And that's, maybe it's under some corporate name or something, who knows. But this is all I found in 20 minutes. I would assume all of these are state court stuff. I did not realize he had filed other lawsuits. And it sounds like he had real representation if there was a deposition.
Yeah.
So
there was definitely lawyers in the video he posted.
Yeah, then that's a real
Yeah.
So just to continue real quick through this, he's alleged racial inequality. He's cited Colin Kaepernick in here. He's quoting the collective bargaining agreement. Florida common law, the Civil Rights Act. Yeah, he's really got a hard on for Trent Murphy. I mean, really, really, Trent Murphy is persona non grata in the Galette household.
Okay, so I'm looking on his account right now. Here are two. One is John Gruden getting fired up during his testimony for lawsuit versus the NFL. This was posted October 1st, 2021. And then another one about Doug Williams, October 1st, 2021.
What problem does he have with Doug Williams? This Doug is not mentioned in here in this lawsuit.
Well, they were interviewing Doug Williams because of the lawsuit against the Commanders, basically.
Oh, okay.
And he was claiming Doug Williams was also blackballed by the NFL at one point.
Doug Williams was blackballed by the NFL.
That's his claim. Now, Doug Williams failed out of the NFL, went to the CFL for a while, and then came back. I remember that. That
doesn't constitute being blackballed. He's a hero in DC.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm recapping the history.
Well, I know, but it's like, use a better example. I mean, and Doug was a head coach at Grambling in for years, and then came back to Washington, in various executive capacities. That's a horrible example there, Junior. So here's the damages. Ready for this? He has asked for, quote, compensatory, punitive, and treble damages to be awarded to me, Junior Galette, in the amount, grievances, in parentheses, of 100 million times 3, total 300 million, for all violations of my rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, protected by all 50 plus states. What is the plus state? That's what I'm wondering. Is there another state I'm not aware of?
Well, so maybe they're trying to include territories like DC.
No, there's no they.
Guam.
There's no they. It's a he.
All right.
Let's be clear.
Okay, fair enough. His lawyer, who did not file this because probably said no.
But DC isn't a state, and
no. But that's states. What I'm wondering. Like, is he just including Puerto Rico, DC, like just everything?
Maybe, I guess. Yeah. Guam, maybe. Who knows? And it's just he's cited a whole bunch of constitute, goes on and on.
Oh, maybe it's part of his crazy sovereign citizen thing. They think there's more states.
Well, that could be that.
Secret states.
That could be that, yeah. So the bottom line is he's asked for $100 million, and he's trying to claim treble damages in here, so for a total of $300 million. So, and it's he cited Miranda in here. It goes on and on, a bunch of nonsense. But there's two things that really caught my eye. Two final things that really caught my eye in here. So, fast forwarding to page 70, there is something in here that says a declaration from Drew Rosenhaus, allegedly, and it is 5 lines,
and
it says, I, Drew Rosenhaus, certify that the factual statements set forth in this declaration are true and correct to the best of my knowledge and are as follows. Number one of Junior Galette's best seasons was in 2017. Number 2, Galette was one of the most effective pass rushers in the NFL and absolutely deserved to sign a multi-million-dollar, multi-year contract with significant guaranteed money. Number 3, I was really disappointed that we did not have that opportunity. Number 4, the market was very low for Galette. Number 5, it was one of the most disappointing experiences I've had with a free agent player. Now, this has a written signature on it, purportedly by Drew Rosenhaus, but it is not notarized. Which makes me wonder whether Drew Rosenhaus knows he has a statement in this thing.
Well, okay, so
I don't think Drew would execute something that's this poorly written.
On that, September 6th, 2021, he posted the video of Drew Rosenhaus saying that this stuff too. Or I haven't watched the whole video, but I'm assuming. So Drew Rosenhaus knows he was interviewed for this whole thing.
Well, and it's fine. I mean, I don't even disagree with Drew that he was effective in 2017 and all of that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know about the most effective, but yeah. Sure.
Yeah, well, and and nobody would debate that Galette's best season was 2017. It's the fact that this is not notarized makes me wonder if this is a forgery. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sure.
And then there was another one in here. Flip down to page 74. I made some very, very quick notes, folks. Just bear with me because, again, I saw this 20 minutes before the show. Okay, so then there's something called an affidavit, which again isn't an affidavit, from Martin Fishman. And Alex figured out right before the show that Martin Fishman is an agent.
Yes. Agent and attorney, down in Louisiana.
And so this is done. It says Martin Fishman did in fact state the followings with an S during a court processing, court reporter. Did Mr. Galette ever say anything to you about being blackballed? Martin Fishman, said yes.
Hold on, the court reporter asked him?
Yes, the court reporter apparently asked him that. Yes.
Steve, I've videotaped a few depositions. I don't know about.
I've done like 80 of them when I was a litigator for a few years, and never once did a court reporter ever ask a question.
I mean, so when I was videotaping, it was not court reporting, but it was used for that.
Now, what has happened is sometimes you will ask, for a variety of reasons, you ask the court reporter to read back a question.
Sure.
So that happens, and so that may be what he's trying to say here.
The only thing I've ever heard a court reporter ask, when I did that for a couple of years, was one of them. I remember asking, like, how do you spell certain things, like names, that kind of thing.
Well, you'll sometimes the witness will say, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you," or something.
Yeah.
And then you'll say, "Well, court reporter, please read back the question," or something like that. And that may be what's happening here. But to continue, now he's citing Benjamin Block, who is claimed to be an NFL lawyer. It says Ben Block, NFL lawyer. Mm-hmm. When did you and Mr. Galette discuss when did he say he'd been blackballed? Now that does sound like something that would be in a deposition, because a deposition transcript is literally the exact words that were said, and that just has a conversational tone to it, So some of this looks like, and it's 15 lines of this kind of stuff here. And so he's got, and the substance of it is that this Martin Fishman is saying that Galette was blackballed. Now, this is a reason I bring it up, because this is another thing. It says it's an affidavit, but it's not notarized. It's signed by somebody purportedly being Martin Fishman, And then there's a jurat, which is a name for something you put, it's basically a notarization, sort of another form of notarization. But the jurat is signed by Martin Fishman, which means that Martin is notarizing his own document.
So is it basically like this is a witness who can testify that I
sort of,
yeah, witnessing for himself, which you can't do.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Well, kind of. But point is, you can't swear to your own statement. You know, if you've done a real affidavit, and I mean, you don't just take like a deposition transcript and misquote the deposition transcript, which he's definitely done. Because the other thing that depositions don't say is Ben Block, NFL lawyer, before every question. So this is Junior reading some transcript of some deposition, summarizing himself, and then putting Martin Fishman's name on it.
I'm willing to bet he's just copying the stuff he heard on these Zoom calls and turning those into the transcript.
Well, it could have been that. Yeah. I just don't. But Martin Fishman is an agent, which means he's an attorney, and I just don't believe that he would sign something like this. So I think this is a forgery. And then,
because you as an attorney would never do that.
I would never do that. Yeah, no. Right. Not I might do an affidavit for somebody, but a real affidavit, not one that's a fake affidavit. And
you would get it notarized the proper way.
Actually notarized. Yeah. And so then the last thing here out of this. So he's also included something called an order for summary judgment and demand for jury trial, which tells me that Junior definitely did not have legal assistance in writing this, because if you get summary judgment, you don't need a jury trial. So summary judgment is a judgment by the court in which the court says the facts are not in dispute, and I, Mr. Court, will resolve the questions of law. So in other words, if there's like a traffic accident, nobody debates what happened, the facts of the traffic accident. And so then at that point, then the court can say, here's the resolution of the legal question. That's what summary judgment is. So you don't want a jury. There is no need for a jury trial because the jury resolves facts. So this tells me that Junior had no help in this. So it's a bunch of rambling nonsense. This is going to get thrown out in 5 seconds, which it should. If he wanted to sue the NFL, he could probably find some hungry young plaintiff's attorney who would have filed a real lawsuit, maybe. And at least maybe get him enough to get a settlement, just to like go away money, maybe. Right. But all this is going to do is make people think he's crazy, because he is in fact crazy.
Yes, he is. And look, I liked Junior Galette for a long time as a player. I had a lot of hopes for him when he came over. But no, he's on an express train to one place, and it's called Crazy Town.
He's on an express train to Crazy Town. Those of you who remember the song Crazy Town, that's Junior's theme song. Okay, so let's move away from that particular bit of nuts.
I could make jokes all day about it, but let's move on.
Yeah, we'll move on. So the next thing we want to cover here is a new deal between Amazon and DirecTV. So those of you who remember, Amazon got the Thursday Night Football contract. They have made an agreement with DirecTV. So Alex, why don't you tell the people about this?
Okay, so I will give the thumbnail version. I think it's an interesting thing that's going on. I think by and large, most fans have been waiting for DirecTV to no longer have the exclusive rights to the NFL. There were a lot of issues with it. You had to have a satellite dish basically in order to get it. There was to get DirecTV, they don't do like cable. There were exceptions to that if you lived in like an apartment building or something weird. NFL had the foresight to say, no, we're going to give that deal to Amazon. If you want to watch all 32 teams, it's going to be an online thing. This is where the world is going. Everyone needs to just get with it and move forward. I know, Steve, you hate that, but
I just don't like Amazon.
I know you don't like Amazon either. Well, you don't. The problem is all the big companies that could do this, you don't like. So it's kind of where we're at. The catch that we've learned from this deal is bars. A huge part of the bar industry, the restaurant industry, is, of course, having the games on in your establishment. And they have cable TV still. A lot of them haven't transitioned over to doing online streaming. Probably a lot of different reasons.
DirecTV because that's how they could get the NFL package.
Right. A lot of them still have DirecTV. Exactly. So Amazon and DirecTV have reached an agreement where DirecTV is still allowed to sell the package to the bars, this streaming pack service, which I guess it's a win-win for all parties in the end.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So that's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, because I would assume, Alex, that I'm the only one in the country that does not have an Amazon Prime account. Is that fair?
Maybe not the only one, but it's definitely a minority 8. At this point, I'd think.
One of 8. Yeah.
I could Google how many Amazon Prime accounts are out there, I'm sure.
And I just don't like Jeff Bezos, and I don't like the way he operates, and I really hate monthly subscriptions. I just refuse unless I really have to. Like, I'm stuck with like the power bill. That I have to do. I have to pay the phone bill, but anything I just don't do. So I don't have it. But my concern as a general point about Amazon was access. The Amazon taking Thursday Night Football package, and they paid an enormous amount of money, like $11 billion or something. I think it was $11 billion. And so they have to make money on this, and so they're banking how they think they're going to make money is a great increase in their Amazon Prime subscriptions, because that and the advertising money are the only two ways that they can make money. And advertising rates kind of go hand in hand with viewership. And so if nobody's watching it, like nobody's going to pay us here at the Hogsty or at IJB an enormous amount of money because we don't have an enormous listenership, compared to others, right? We're doing okay for a local podcast, but we're not like Saturday Night Live, just to throw something out. So so that was my concern, and I did have a concern about this exact issue. How is this going to get into things like sports bars? And this solves a problem. And, there's no small bit of irony that the NFL dumped DirecTV to turn on and hand DirecTV.
Well, yeah.
The NFL's consenting to this, okay?
Yeah, of course.
So the contract between the NFL and Amazon, which I have not seen, clearly would have something along the lines of you can sub-license the rights to this stuff out, but the NFL probably has approval rights over it, because the NFL doesn't want to be associated with, like, Joe's House of Waffles, QAnon, and football,
Right.
And so the NFL has probably approved this deal, which I think is a bit ironic. But I do think this is a good thing, because, listen, the sports bar industry, when you're not a severe introvert like me, you like to go to sports bars and watch games. And this is a way to keep it up. And Thursday night, listen, that's a big, blow off Friday at work and go get drunk night,
So, I mean, that I didn't even think of the Thursday night thing. That is a big factor.
Because we're talking about, to be clear, Thursday night football here.
Yeah. Well, not just Thursday night, though. I mean, Amazon has everything now for the DirecTV package, don't they? Wasn't that resolved? Or is this just Thursday?
Perhaps we should have...
I should double check that.
Yeah. Keep talking. I will look this up.
Well, okay.
By the way, just for the records, what we're listening, because on this show we always give people credit. This story came from CNBC and was called "Amazon Prime Signs Deal with DirecTV to Air Thursday Night Football Game in Bars and Restaurants" by Lillian Rizzo.
Okay,
August
so it
23rd.
is just Thursday nights. Okay,
yeah, so it is just Thursday night. Anyway, that's the source of this.
I was thinking of the whole thing where DirecTV was leaving, or the NFL was ditching DirecTV for everything else as well.
Yeah, that's still kind of up in the air.
Okay, all right. Just so, because you asked or mentioned it, Steve, the numbers of how many people in America have Amazon Prime at this point.
Yeah.
I found two different sites with two slightly different numbers, but it's around 160 million subscriptions. So
that's continental. That's United States only.
Just U.S. Yeah.
So that's the vast bulk of households, and because the population is what 350 million in the United States.
The whole population, somewhere between 350 and 4. And as someone who has Amazon Prime, you only have one account per household.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And so, if there are 2.5 people in a household,
Right.
You're getting close to all households minus the Thomas household.
Right, exactly. So it's the vast majority at this point. And there's a reason that Amazon just prints their own money at this point with this,
What goes on in my house is, hey Steve, can we have a subscription to Disney Plus? No. Can we have a subscription to Amazon Prime? No.
No.
Do you have Hulu and I don't know about it? No. That's what goes on in my house on a regular basis.
Yes. I want to watch HBO. Well, we have a cable box. You can watch HBO there.
But in my defense, my cable subscription to Xfinity comes with HBO Max.
Right. Which is going to go away. That's a whole nother thing.
Wait, that's another topic for another day. But my cable subscription comes with, this is why I think cable's not dead. You want to know what it comes with? It comes with Netflix, Peacock.
Sure.
Which
no one uses to watch anything but The Office, but sure.
I've never seen an episode of The Office, ironically enough. But you
would like The Office. I don't know why.
Maybe I would. I just one of those things that I've never gotten around to doing. But I can get the streaming service, the streaming version of all these networks, HBO, Showtime. If it's a part of my cable package, I have access to it streaming. So it's kind of bundled streaming services plus cable. So I actually think it's a good deal. But
the cable companies are not stupid. They're going to do everything they can to stay around. I get it. Like, I don't blame them it's a smart move for them to make these packages and have all the stream.
Yeah, and I'm sure like the Netflix subscription is buried in the fees somewhere. I mean, they're not giving it away for free.
Yeah. I mean, because Netflix, I think alone is now $15-$20 a month. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I think there might be different tiers, but yeah.
We stopped getting Netflix because they stopped making good content, and I just get HBO, and we have Amazon because we use it for shipping.
Yeah, fair enough. But to get back on topic here, so this is the way that Amazon gets Thursday Night Football in sports bars. So the next step, obviously, is what happens to the DirecTV package, and I'm not sure that's been resolved yet.
Right.
But they will have to have some way. Here's the problem with the DirecTV package. It's so limited that it's just very hard for the average consumer to access the content because you have to have DirecTV or you can't get it. Now, I tried, Steve Thomas, several months ago, contacted DirecTV electronically and tried to subscribe to a streaming-only NFL package. Just to see how much it would cost. Again, I hate subscriptions, but I contemplated this. And I got a message back from them that said, we're sorry, you don't live in the right part of the country to get our streaming package. And I dug into this a little bit more, and it's the basic gist of DirecTV's rule is that if you live in a place where you can't put a satellite dish up, they'll allow you to buy a streaming package.
Right.
Otherwise, you need to hang a satellite dish on your house. So if you're it said like, in inner city, like urban apartment complexes, for example, the New York area, stuff like that. So me living in the Houston suburbs, they said, no, I don't know what genius wants to limit their business model like that. But my problem, what I'm saying is my problem with the DirecTV package always has been you're limiting access. The NFL just needs to do what baseball did, allow you to subscribe directly. Because Alex knows I'm a baseball. We in this house are baseball fans, and so every year I subscribe to MLB's.
Baseball's your number one sport at this point, I think.
Probably, maybe. I mean, football is. I'm always probably a bigger football fan, and I certainly know more about the technical aspects. I'm just kind of a baseball fan. I can't talk about the technical parts of the baseball game. I just like watching it. But my kids are outstanding baseball players.
Well, yeah. You had a son who was like one of your sons was a
serious baseball guy. I hurt his shoulder and all that, but that's neither here nor there. Point is, the NFL needs to do something like that, and like the baseball package we subscribe to is through Xfinity. It's like Xfinity just bills me $40 a month or whatever the number is for the time of the baseball season. And so then I can access it through the Major League Baseball app on my phone, which I have watched baseball games during things like weddings because I get bored. and parties. I'll go in a corner because I'm an introvert. I'll go in the corner and I'll just watch a baseball game because I can't take it anymore and I can't leave for whatever reason. So that's what the NFL needs to do. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I think we all agree that's what they should have been doing the whole time. And on your point of, well, they have all these rules, we're probably going back 15 years. I tried to get DirecTV when I was living in an apartment in the city. They still said, oh, no, you'd have to put a satellite dish up. They said you would have to get a bucket of cement, stick a pole in it, and put a satellite dish on that bucket rather than just give you the streaming app.
So Alex told me this off the air a couple weeks ago, and I truly thought he was kidding.
Nope.
I mean, can you imagine a bucket and cement on a pole?
Right.
That's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's no wonder they're going to be out of business.
And look, I technically am a subcontractor to AT&T, who is DirecTV at this point. I want to see, is there a way I could go to these people and say, what is wrong with you? Whoever's in charge of this, what is wrong with them? Did they eat all the paint chips as a kid? Is that what was going on?
Well, I guess their point, I guess what they're saying is, because the first and obvious question is what happens when a hurricane comes?
Right.
And I guess what their point is, well, you have it stuck in a cement bucket of cement. The bucket of cement is going to go away. Your satellite dish will be fine. I guess that's what they're saying.
No, it just means you're going to have a flying satellite dish bucket of cement going through somebody's house.
And it's going to kill somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's no wonder. I mean, the NFL needs to find a way to make that package available to a much wider,
which is what they're trying to do now. Finally, I mean, I think the candidates were ESPN, Apple, and Amazon were the three bidding on this, right?
And Apple didn't help me either because, of course, that I don't subscribe to Apple either.
Right. You're not a Disney fan either.
So just to be clear, I don't necessarily have a political objection to Apple. I'm a Samsung person and I hate subscriptions, as I said, so I just don't do that. What was the other one?
Disney.
Disney. I have a
ESPN
massive political
ABC,
objection.
Yeah.
Disney, I have a massive political objection to. I don't give them a dime.
I don't like Disney for the fact that they've just basically become a empire monopoly of the entertainment, and everything is now owned by Disney. It's absurd.
Yeah, Alex and I don't like Disney, but for different reasons. I don't like them because they're a bunch of liberal woke pinheads.
And I don't like them because they're a monopoly, and Walt Disney was a famous anti-Semite. So
yes. Okay. So anyway, so that's the story for Amazon and DirecTV. So watch for that. Don't worry, people who get drunk on Thursday. You will still be able to watch a football game while you're getting drunk in a bar.
The irony is, of course, no one watches Thursday Night Football. It does terrible ratings compared to everything.
You're going to pay $11 billion for games that should never be played. I personally, we need to move on. But my thought on Thursday Night Football has always been that it's a bit too much of a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's special about the NFL is, to me at least, is that it is a all-day Sunday thing. And then you spend next 6 days talking about what happened on Sunday and what is going to happen on the following Sunday. If you have it every day of the week, it's not the same. One of my famous analogies here, I was about to do one that was probably inappropriate for the air, and I won't. But so let me do. Ice cream. Ice cream is a wonderful thing for most people, right? You love ice cream.
I love ice cream. You don't get a belly like mine not loving ice cream.
Well, true. Because Alex is a fat guy. Let's be honest. But my point here is that I'm just teasing Alex. But my point here is that ice cream is special because you don't eat it for every meal.
Right.
It is a dessert. And so it is a pleasure. It's a shot of pleasure because you only have it sometimes. If you ate it all the time, it would cease to be as much fun. It's sort of like an addiction to pornography.
Right.
People who are addicted to it have to do it more and more and more because their mind gets desynthesized to dopamine hits. And
then eventually they get fired for an obvious reason.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, because now they're taking care of themselves in the bathroom at work. But point is, this is like the NFL. The NFL has not figured out that they need to hold back just a little bit to make people more interested in the games that happen on Sundays. So I think Thursday needs to go the way.
You got to build up the craving a little.
Thursday needs to go the way of ice cream for every meal.
Right, exactly. I look, and I'm with you. Even though I probably will have, I had ice cream yesterday. I'm probably gonna have it today. But that's a different story.
That's it. Yeah, that's just Alex getting fatter.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on here. The last thing we wanted to tackle is Forbes recently released their NFL team values 2022, and so this is called exactly that. NFL team values 2022. The Dallas Cowboys are the first franchise worth $8 billion by Mike Ozenian and Justin Teitelbaum, dated August 22nd. And so obviously Forbes does this every year.
Yeah.
So how they're measuring this, Forbes actually has some interesting stuff in here. First of all, they're breaking down in the average NFL team's revenue, and what they said, Forbes is trying to get me to subscribe, which, as I said,
so the one thing I picked up on right away was, of course, this is a huge jump in revenue from the last valuation.
That's what I'm going to get to.
Right. So, and the chief reason is what we just talked about, this new deal with Amazon, which you said was what, 11 billion.
Yeah, but it's the other network media deals which are now done.
Right. It's not just Amazon.
So the average NFL team, the revenue breakdown is 61.3% is media, generally, which is TV, radio, all that. 10% general seating. That's like your general seating tickets, your non-premium tickets. That's 10.2%. 9.4% premium seating, meaning suites and club seats. 10.1% sponsorship and advertising, and 9% other. The other including some ticket revenue for their stadium if they own their own stadium and some other things. So that's the breakdown. And now here's the amazing part. So the Dallas Cowboys are number one. They have valued Dallas at $8 million. Now they claim billion. Sorry, they claim Dallas's operating income is $465.9 million. And by the way, what they're using EBITDA here, which is a financial term, it's earnings before interest, taxes, and appreciation. I think it is. That's what they're using here, and so they're creating value by using a multiple of EBITDA. That's Forbes's basic process here. And so, but just keep in mind, 465 million. Okay. Number two, New England Patriots, valued at 6.4 billion, 230.5 operating income, less than half.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So, here's the things I wonder about with something like that.
Okay.
I mean, look, salaries are fixed for the most part. Like every NFL team has a salary cap for their players, which is the bulk of, I assume, what they spend on salary.
Yes.
So there's not that much variation on that side. Are you doubling expensive for operating your stadium? Like
no. They're not doubling expenses. They're doubling earnings. That's revenue.
Sorry. I was reversing in my head.
Because remember, they're doing valuation on the basis of EBITDA.
Okay.
And so the reason why they're doing net earnings is that's EBITDA basically. Okay. EBITDA is basically gross revenue, more or less gross revenue. If you want to put it in simple terms, again, it's earnings before interest, taxes, and I want to say the A is appreciation. Anyway, so point is Dallas has twice the operating income as the next team, which is the New England Patriots, and it goes down from there. So then the Rams are third, 6.2 billion, 203 million operating income. So now we're way down. Giants number 4, 177.9 million, 6 billion valuation. Look how far it's fallen. That's almost 300 million a year less than Dallas, and we're only at number 4. So because we're mostly a Washington group of people here, Washington is number 6 somehow, valued at 5.6 billion, 130.3 million operating income, which is $330 million less than Dallas's, 35 million less than Dallas's. If you go down, I'm just going to randomly scroll through. So number 20, the Chargers, $3.875 billion. Operating income, $155.7 million, which I'd point out that that's higher than Washington's operating income. That tells you that they have less expenses. Because again, remember, they're doing this on EBITDA,
Remember, so the Chargers are not in their own stadium even. They're in the Rams stadium. So that's probably part of it.
Well, yes. But, that tells me that Washington has, more interest, taxes, and appreciation than does the Chargers. So the team that is here's the last few. Number 28, Jacksonville, $3.475 million. Number 29, the Buffalo Bills, $3.4 billion. The Cardinals, $3.27 billion. The Lions, $3.05 billion. Would you care to guess who's last?
Ooh, I mean, three times there you told me a team that I was like, oh, that should be the last.
Don't overthink it. It's who you think it should be based on who I've.
I mean,
okay,
I'm drawing a blank.
It was the Cincinnati
Tennessee?
Bengals. Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati, really? Huh?
Oh, they have a horrible owner. Michael Brown is a nincompoop.
Oh, I know he's a cheapskate. Like I know that's always been their MO.
Well, remember all this operating income. The difference is media sponsorship agreements. Jerry Jones is a whiz at that. The Bengals are kind of the opposite of that.
See, I always assumed Jacksonville would be last because
Tennessee was 27, by the way, just for the record.
Oh, okay.
So, now why I find this interesting, and of course now I can't find it. I thought I sent it to you. I guess I didn't. Well, the comparison to who was number 1 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, Washington, we know, was number 2 30 years ago, right?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah.
And they have, it's like how far the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I deleted it. Sorry, that's my fault. But
I mean, I absolutely, I remember when Dan Snyder bought the Washington Redskins, they were the 3rd most valuable sports franchise in the United States at that point.
He paid $750 million, by the way.
Right, and it was the Yankees were number 1, Cowboys were number 2, and Washington was number 3 at that point. Maybe I'm flipping the Yankees and Cowboys, but that it was those 3 teams.
Yes.
Which, now Washington's, you said 6th? Which
6th.
Actually sounds higher than you'd think they would be.
Well, remember, they own their own stadium. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Dan Snyder, the team doesn't own the stadium. Dan Snyder owns the stadium. And so there's a lot of income associated with that. And yeah, they've lost sponsors and all that. But in the end, when you're keeping 100% of the ticket revenue, or close to 100%, I mean, some of it's going other places, but that's why, that's why.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, we were going to mention, but I'll just mention this. We were supposed to do a story. We ran out of time here because we're basically out of time here. Essentially, we were going to mention that FanDuel is starting a network.
Oh, right. We wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, we may have to say that for another day, but presumably that's all about sports betting, I would assume.
Right. An ESPN for just gambling is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically right.
Yeah.
So look for that. Maybe we'll do that on another day, perhaps.
The constantly inundating us with the sports gambling world. It's I don't know how much sports radio you listen to in Houston, Steve.
I used to listen to ESPN every day, and I got tired of them. Again, because it became like woke central, and so now I listen to Fox Sports in the morning because they've got a really good show on. It's Brady Quinn, LeVar Arrington, and like the non-sports host guy called
LeVar's gotten really good on the radio.
It's called Two Pros and a Cup of Joe, and then that's my normal. And then then like I listen to like Dan Patrick. So mainly Fox Sports, not for political reasons, but just because I like their shows.
Well, I mean, I listen to the local guys because DC is very
local,
I
don't care
radio
about
centric
Houston teams. Yeah.
Every other ad is a sports betting show ad at this point, or something along those lines. FanDuel, somebody. So like they've already started sports gambling radio stations in this area that just talk about gambling. So I'm not shocked about that.
No, not.
I'm not shocked. I'm a little disappointed.
Disappointed? Why are you disappointed?
In human society, just in general.
I personally just don't like sports betting.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it's not my thing, but more power to you. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up there. So thanks, Alice, for joining us, of course. Catch us on the Hogs Tie. We are transitioning the show, the Hogs Tie podcast, to one show a week for the regular season. We have our new member, Dave Earl.
Yep.
Rick Snyder, Seasons of Discontent, is back for the season. He and Matt Cones, that show's returned. And we have all of our regular written content. So, Alex, say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
We will see you next time.